Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? Well, the answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. When I started using Anchor to do my podcast, it was so extremely easy that I haven't even bothered to look for another app to use. I love this app. It's the only one I deal with, the only one I even recommend, period. I recommend you get on there ASAP. If you want to start a podcast, this is definitely the place to go. It's easy. You can drive around and record. You can sit in your basement and record. You can do it anywhere. It's fantastic. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start, anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Adam Rich from the Really Rich Podcast. And, today is a very special day because it is my dad's birthday today. So, Dad, if you are listening or if you ever listen to this, happy birthday. And, but other than that, man, I was really thinking a lot about positivity and negativity lately because I've done an episode or two on this before. I talk about a lot of positivity and thinking in a positive way and believing in yourself and all that stuff like normal. However, I wanted to kind of get into the difference between like why I feel like it's beneficial for you to live a positive life or to feel positive, to look at things from a positive perspective. I'm not trying to get too cliche or too, I know there's a lot of obviously bad, negative things in life that happen to us. And I know it's very, very, very easy to look at things in that aspect and to say, like, with all these bad things going on around me, why would I look at things positively? Why would I be optimistic? Why would I think like that when there's so much bad, when there's so much negative shit going on around me at all the time, at all times? And here's the reality is that when you live in a negative space, like in your mindset, when you always look at things from a how did this affect me in a bad way, or how did this screw me over, or what kind of shit did this cause for me personally, or when you're just looking at all your situation around you, like just finding bad things around you. Like you're in traffic and you're like, of course this lane's slow. I don't know about you. I've gotten into certain lanes and you're thinking, this other lane next to me the cars keep flying past me. I'm going to get over. And then you get over and then the cars slow down. And now all of a sudden the lane that you were in starts moving faster. It's real easy to see that kind of stuff and think to yourself, of course this happens to me. Of course I get into the other lane and then the other lane speeds up. Why does it always happen like this? Of course. When you look at things from a bad place like that, it doesn't change the outcome of what happened. It doesn't change the fact that the bad shit happened. But what does happen when you focus on that part, that aspect of it, that perspective of it, what happens is you're now putting the hateful anger and bitterness into your own mind, into your own psyche, and it makes you angry. It makes you... You ever watch like a fighting movie or a karate movie or something, and they say you got to be focused, you can't be pissed off fighting, you have to be clear-minded, you have to think straight, you can't be angry while you're fighting. And the reason for that is because it clouds your judgment. It leaves you open to reacting instead of like planning or thinking or plotting your next move, whatever that is, wherever you're at. And it's not good for you. It's just not a good way to live your life. It's when you live in that space and you're angry and you're bitter, listen, it may only last for a few minutes, but it could be something that affects you all day. It could be something that affects you for weeks, for months. You know how many people I know have like lost a loved one? A loved one is passed away, and then they think so negatively about their life and how it's going to unfold this day forward. You know, I don't know how I'm going to go on in life without you. I don't know how I'm going to live, or how you know, you were the best thing in my life and I lost you. I don't know. When you live like that, you're taking away opportunity to enjoy what is good. And listen, like I said, I mean, if you lose a loved one and it's a very obviously it's a negative experience. We never look at losing somebody as a positive, you know, one that we care about at least. We never look at when we lose somebody that we care about. We don't ever look at it and celebrate. We don't look at it as a wonderful event. We always look at it as a bad thing, of course. And it's hard to convince anyone that somebody passing away is a good thing. However, if there's somebody that has been suffering for a long time, or maybe they've been through a lot of shit in their life, they're living in pain, maybe they have a lot of injuries or illnesses that is just eating away at them, and there is no cure, there is no hope, and the only thing that can happen is death beyond that. And I know that's a very bleak way to look at things. I understand that, and I'm not trying to, listen, it's not fun for me to talk about the bad stuff. It's not fun to talk about shit that hurts people's feelings or makes them feel bad. But I do think that it's very helpful for somebody that has a lot of depression or a lot of anxiety or a lot of bitterness or hatefulness in their life. When you think about the bad, it doesn't make the bad go away. It just makes that the center point of your life. It just makes that the focus. And listen, anybody who's gone through a very bad experience and gone through very good experiences knows the difference in how you feel, and knows that when you're in a happy place, when you feel good, when you feel excited about something, you're happy, you're smiling, you're lively, you appreciate moments, and it feels good. It feels good to live in that space, that mindset. We all feel that way. But when something's bad and it's sad or it's depressing or it makes you angry or you're bitter or you're just pissed off, nobody likes being in that mood. Nobody likes to live in that space. So what I'm saying is it's okay to understand what happened. It's okay to understand the negative and the positive of things, but it's not good to dwell in that area. It's not good to make that the way you live, that you go through life. We have to learn to get better about understanding that something bad has happened or is happening, and instead of dwelling on that and focusing on just what's bad about it, we need to be able to move quickly on getting past that point. And that doesn't mean that, you know, you lose a loved one and it hurts really bad and it's depressing. I'm not saying to get over it. I'm not saying to think about it for 2 minutes and then move on with life. I mean, obviously I'm well aware that it's a painful experience. It's not fun to go through. It's never fun to experience. But you can't let your life get wrapped up in just focusing on that part of it all the time. When bad things happen, listen, they happen to everybody. Everybody experiences bad moments, bad things happening. Things that we're not happy about, things that we're not, that make us sad. We all go through that at some point. Some of us are going through it now. Some of us have gone through it a year ago. Some of us are going to go through it next week. You can't stay there, though. It will eat you up. It will destroy you, and it can ruin your life. Like, there's people that get into a funk, and they never get out of it because they dwell in that space. And then one bad event turns into two bad events because they never got past the first one. And now you're focused on the two bad events, and it's just become like a negative feeling over your life, like a dark cloud over your existence. And nobody wants that. Nobody likes to live in that place. But then you have two experiences will then turn into 3, and then to 5, and then to 10. And next thing you know, that's all you think about is the bad things in life. If you get into traffic and you're held up and you switch lanes and it slows you down, and then you get into the other lane and then that one slows down, it's not good to sit there and be like, of course this has happened. Of course this is my life. Of course this is what is going to happen to me. Why is it so? Instead of thinking like that, maybe something up there is slowing you down and keeping you from getting into a bad accident. Or maybe it's slowing you down because maybe you were going to be doing 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. If traffic was better, maybe you would have been speeding and a cop would have busted you and pulled you over and gave you a ticket. Made your insurance go up. The gift that keeps on giving, you know? And I'm not saying that you can't prove these things. All you know is the outcome that happens. You don't know what the other side would have been like. We don't know. But what I do know is this. When you think about the bad and only the bad, you're stuck there. And it's not a good place to stay. It's not fun. If you're on your way to work and you have and you're stuck in traffic and you start thinking about all the bad shit in traffic and you hate it and you can't stand it anymore and now you're pissed off, well then you punch into work late. And now you're pissed off about punching into work late. Then your boss comes up and says something to you about being late. Now you're pissed off that your boss has gotten on your ass. And it's just a snowball effect that people I don't think stop to think about. I don't think a lot of people actually think about the long-term effect that can happen to you when you do these things. And it's a tricky place to be because I don't want to sit here and try to tell somebody that, hey, just, get over it quickly. I know it hurts. Get over it. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is take the time that you need to really process what's happened. And then as soon as you can, as soon as it's good for you, or as soon as you feel that you're ready, try to move quickly at moving forward. I don't mean get over it. I mean move forward in life, because the bad shit happened. It's there. It's not going away. But especially if you hold on to it. If you let it go, if you move forward beyond it, then at least you have a chance at experiencing happiness in your life. You may not have, maybe that's a spot in your life that will always have a little hole. But if you fill that emptiness with something powerful that's great for you, like take this for an example. This happened to me, so I can totally speak on. When I used to be, like the woman I'm married to now, my wife now, she's not the first person that I was ever engaged to. She's the second. I was engaged to a woman before. I'm not going to give out names and all that stuff, doesn't matter. But I was engaged. And we went through, we split up. And it would have been very easy for me to sulk and to be sad and bitter and angry and think, why did this happen to me? What, why do I got to go through this? Why? And it would have been easy. She moved on immediately because she was the one that was messing with somebody else. I have no shame in telling people that. This is my story. This is what happened. It's real. And besides, the outcome for me ended up being so great that I have zero, there's no pain for me in this to say this. So I can easily talk about this with you guys and give you a great, in my opinion, a great example because I went through it. Now, I immediately tried to move on. And it's not easy. It's not easy for most people. I don't expect anybody else to do what I did or to be able to get over things as quickly as I did. But the honest answer, the honest reason why I was able to get over it so quickly is not because it didn't bother me at all. It's not because I didn't care. It's not because I didn't love the person. It's not because I hated the person or whatever. There's a million things that you could think. It was none of those. The real reason I honestly was able to move on quickly is because of two things. A, I know myself, and there was no way that I was ever going to be able to carry on this relationship with this woman that I thought was cheating or was cheating or whatever. There's no way I was going to be able to live happy knowing that every time she left the house, I was going to believe that it was going to be to go out and cheat. And even if she wasn't, she might have just been going to work. She might have just been going to the store. She might have been back in 10 minutes. But I know myself. And I would have always had it in the back of my head that if she didn't answer the phone, she was cheating. If she left the house, she was cheating. If she didn't get home when I thought she should have been home, she must have been cheating. That's how I would have thought. I would have honestly thought those kinds of things because my mind would have ran there. Now, I didn't want that for myself. I knew that when she cheated or when I thought she was cheating or whatever the case was, When she admitted to basically talking to and seeing another guy or possibly seeing whatever, I knew right then and there I was never going to trust this person again. And it was going to be detrimental for myself in the future. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if she would have stayed out, if she would have said, I'll be home by 11 and she came home at 1, I'm going to assume she was cheating. I'm going to start an argument and a fight with her. I'm going to want to snoop through her phone. I'm going to want to blah, 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 blah. I didn't want to put myself through that. I knew the trust was gone. I knew it was either never going to come back or it was going to take so many years to come back that it would have destroyed our relationship anyway. So what I did is I said to myself, okay, our time is done. And I don't expect anybody else to be able to do that. It's not easy. I hope that you can, because it's very, very, very helpful for you moving forward. But I also had something else going for me. The second thing that I think is very crucial for me. I fully believed that I was going to find somebody better. Like, I fully believe that, and not that she was, not that I'm not trying to slam her or anything like that. It's just that I knew that if this one person did this thing and I wasn't going to be able to trust that person, I fully believed that this relationship was now over and it was making room for somebody better to come along, somebody better for me to come along. And I was 100% right. I literally banked on what was just a belief. I had no evidence to back it up. I had no proof that this was going to happen. I just fully believed. Listen, I'm a big believer in God. And I'm not trying to make this podcast about you. I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not trying to tell you you should, or I'm not trying to give you reasons. I just do. Okay. Me personally, you believe what you want. That's fine. No judgment, no criticism. It's fine. I personally believe in God. I believed that when this situation happened, that my time with that person was over, and that God was making room for somebody better to come along for me. And I was right. Now, whether you say, well, if you don't believe in God and you think that it's a coincidence, okay, fine. But either way, I was right because I believed it. I didn't sit around and sulk. I didn't cry and call her and beg her to come back. I didn't say, hey, let's please try to make this work anyway. It was never like that. I said, okay, you found somebody. Hopefully you're happy. You move on. I'm going to move on. I'm totally confident that God has got somebody better lined up for me. And a year and a half later, he proved it. I met my wife through total random chance. It isn't like I met her through a friend. It wasn't like, she was at my job. It wasn't a coworker. My friend convinced me to start a Plenty of Fish, dating app profile. I didn't want to do it. I was very against it at the time. He said, what's the worst that can happen? You just put your profile up there and you let people find you. You don't have to be active on there. You don't have to be searching and constantly worry about rejection or anything like that. And personally, I didn't care about none of that. I just didn't think that was the proper way for me to find somebody. And that's where I was wrong. I was right about somebody better coming along. I was totally wrong about Plenty of Fish. Because my wife and I found each other. We never remember who found each other. I think that I thought that she found me. She thought I found her. I don't know. Regardless what happens, we didn't know each other. We had never met. And because of some random chance that she pops up in my feed on a dating app, I find her and we start talking. And next thing you know, 5-6 years later, we're married and we have a child. And it is incredible. It's reasons like this as to why I have so much faith in God. Because this is not the first time that I have tried to put my trust on him and something like this has happened. Now, if you don't want to believe in that, that's fine. I'm not trying to convince you. Whatever works for you. But the point that I'm trying to make about this is I had a positive attitude about it. I had a positive outlook. I didn't dwell on the shit situation that I was going through. I didn't dwell on the fact that a person that I had been with for so long had just basically fucked our whole lives up. I didn't dwell on that. I didn't worry about that. I didn't get angry and bitter at her. I wasn't like, fuck her. I never badmouthed her to her family, to her friends. I never did any of that. I just purely moved on. I fully believed that the time that we had was up. Some people come into your life for a season. Some people aren't meant to be there forever. Some people are purely there to teach you a lesson, and then when you learn the lesson, your time with them is up. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make them meaningless or you meaningless. It just purely is part of your season, part of your life. We all go to kindergarten and middle school and high school. It's not there forever. It's part of your life for a season. The lower end education. I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean, the earlier years of your life, the earlier education. Some people go to preschool, some don't. It's just a season of your life. Some people have that first girlfriend or first boyfriend, and then they've moved on and now they're on their 28th. Okay, it's just a season of your life. You don't, listen, I remember having a pager before a cell phone. I don't regret having a pager. It was a great time, but we found something better. It was a season of my life. It doesn't make it a bad time because pagers now suck compared to cell phones or smartphones. It just means that was the time. That was the time period. That's what happened. And so I guess if you're going to take away anything from this, it's just there is nothing beneficial for you for thinking negatively. It builds anger in you. It builds hatefulness, resentfulness. It builds deceit. It builds just depression. It makes sadness and anxiety. All it does is add negative features to your existence. That's all it does when you think negatively. It doesn't help change the situation. And I know people will say, well, yeah, but at least you can, if you think negatively and you don't get your hopes up, then you can't get your heart broken. That's not true. Because if you're living negatively all the time, your heart's constantly fucking broken. It's just broken differently. It's not broken in sadness. It's broken in the fact that you can't live in enjoyment and happiness. And we all want that. And it sounds cliche to say, find your happiness, live in happiness, and all blah, 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 happiness. I know it sounds cliche, but it's fucking true. All cliches sound cheesy for a reason. It's because they're so fucking true. You hear it so many damn times that you get sick of hearing it. But the reason why you hear it so much is because it's true. It's like saying that the earth revolves around the sun. I've heard that so many times in my life, I don't need to hear it again. It doesn't sound cliche. It is. As the world turns. We all hear that. It's a cliche, right? It doesn't. You know what the cliche means? It means that the world doesn't stop spinning for anything. It doesn't stop because you're negative or because you're angry or because you were hurt by somebody. It doesn't stop. It just keeps spinning. And nobody wants to hear, as the world turns. It's because it's true. It keeps going. It doesn't hold up for you. Time doesn't stop because you're not feeling good. Time doesn't stop because you don't feel like doing something or because you're angry or because you're sad. It doesn't stop. It keeps moving. And you will stop if you're very negative and if you just dwell on shit. You got to get past these things. It's not good for you to live like that. It adds stress. It adds anxiety. It makes you start thinking paranoid shit that you don't need to be thinking. It starts making you really hold back from allowing yourself to be happy. I've heard that saying, I've been hurt before, so my walls are up. I get it. I understand. But that's just going to limit you on being able to be happy. It's going to slow you down from finding that love and happiness. It doesn't, listen, you can still live happy and positive and appreciative and still have your guard up. You can still, listen, it's like basketball or hockey. You're never only playing offense or only playing defense. At any given second of any given day, you're on offense and then defense and then back to offense and back to defense and back to offense and back to defense. You'd have no idea when it's going to happen. But you got to be good at both. Be a fucking NBA player. Be a hockey player. You got to be good at both. But no defensive no person that plays really good defense never tries to play offense. No good person on offense never tries to play defense. You got to be good at handling both. And listen, when you're on defense, like if you're a goalie, or not, I'm sorry, not a goalie because you're kind of just stuck at defense, I guess, at that point. But if you're playing basketball or hockey and you are only focused on the defense, who's going to put the points up? How can you outscore a team if the only thing you're focused on is stopping them? You got to be good at both. But you can't dwell on either one. You can't just focus on the defense. You got to start moving the ball also. You got to start playing offense. And by offense, I mean living positive, happy, embracing somebody, trying to love you. I mean, it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be unsure. It's okay to be confused. But you can't block yourself off from receiving happiness and love and joy and like togetherness with somebody. And this isn't just about relationships, man. I mean this with everything you do. On your way to work, you get caught off in traffic. I'm not saying, be like, yay, thank you for cutting me off. What I'm saying is you look at that guy and you be like, what a fucking asshole. But I'm still here. I'm still alive. Life's good. Let's keep it moving. That guy will get his. That guy will get what's coming to him. It's not your fault. So don't worry about it. And man, I see so many people. They get hurt a few good times. Things don't look good. And then they just start living negatively. And then they start looking for negative shit to complain about. Because once you start complaining and you feel that rush of like, hey, I'm complaining and somebody else is complaining. Now we're complaining together. You don't achieve anything by that. You know who likes to hear losers talk? Other fucking losers. Don't be like that. Because if all you do is bitch and complain and think negatively, you're just going to surround yourself with people that do it, because positive people don't want to hear that all day. Positive people don't want to be surrounded with negativity. We want to look for more positive shit. And we want to embrace it and enjoy it. Look, when they say, it's going to snow tomorrow, I'm not excited about it because in Michigan, I don't really care for the snow. I don't like it when I like watching the snowfall. I don't like when it's cold as fuck. I don't like when the roads are icy and snowy because people drive like idiots. I don't like when it's all gray out every day. I don't like, there's a lot of things I don't like about winter. But I don't sit here and complain about it for fucking 3 to 6 months, depending on how long our winter goes. I get over it. They say, hey, we're supposed to get 8 to 12 inches of snow tomorrow. I'm like, fuck. All right. That's how I do it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm some ultimate, only positive person that never looks at negativity at all. I always see it. I move past it quickly. That's the speed. You got to be quick about it. Don't dwell on it. Listen, if a family member of mine died, of course it's going to hurt. Of course I'm going to not like it. Of course I'm going to be sad. But I'm not going to let it make me sad for the rest of my entire existence, dude. You got to focus, listen, think about what happened, understand, but then you need to quickly shift your focus to appreciating the time you had with that person. Think about the good things that they brought to your life. That you have to do this, man. If you had a job that sucks royal ass and then you get fired from that job, it's easy to let that ruin you and be like, everywhere I go, the job sucks and all this blah, 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 blah. But when you're at that job and you think it sucks and then you get fired from it, think about the times that you had that you don't like about that place, that really made your job suck. But then use that going forward to say, now I know what kind of jobs I don't want. I know what kind of environment I don't want to be a part of. I know what kind of culture a shitty job has, and I don't want to be involved in that anymore. This is beneficial for you to look forward and realize what kind of goodness you are looking for with your career, what things you want to avoid, what things you want to stay away from. You can use all of these things in a beneficial way. It doesn't all have to be negative. It can be good, man. Use the negative to find the goodness. I'm telling you, it's totally worth it. It's great for everybody. It's just not good to dwell on these things. It's not good to look at only the bad and think to yourself, man, this is what I need to focus on. This is how I need to think in my life. Because it's just never a good place to stay. It's okay to stop by and visit negativity. It's not good to hold up residence there. Get yourself a new house. But I don't know, man. It's so many people are focused on the negative, and I just see how bad it is for people's lives. I see what it does to people. I see how it ruins listen, I know so many negative people that even when you just shove nothing but positive, good shit that they like in their face, they'll then turn and be like, yeah, but it's only temporary. Yeah, but it won't last. It's like, why are you enjoy it while it's fucking here then? Stop if you know that it's not going to last, you're probably right. It's probably not going to last. But here's the reality. Once it's gone, then you can start hating on it then. But enjoy it while it's fucking here. And then as soon as it's gone, look for something else that's good. Then you can start enjoying the positive feeling. It's so critical, man. It's so positive for your life. And not just, I hate to keep using the same fucking words over and over, but doggone it, it just is. It's just true. You don't need the bullshit in your life. Acknowledge it, be aware of it, and then move forward and think about the good that comes from it. It's so beneficial for you. I swear it is. I just don't want to see people get lost in this like endless circle of depression and anger where you don't get out of it. You know, I knew people that were young, like when they were young, they were just like full of life and enjoyed every minute, enjoyed partying, enjoyed just living. And then all of a sudden, like now you talk to them 10, 15, 20 years later, and they're just very, very different people. To be as polite as possible. They're very different people. They're just not, they don't have that same feeling of like youth and life and vigor in them, you know? It's just, I don't know, I just don't like seeing people get lost in this stuff because it's very difficult to get out of. If you ever run into a person that's in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and they're like a bitter old man or a bitter old woman, they're just angry or they're just negative about everything, and they always think the worst, they've probably been through a lot of bad shit. They've probably seen a lot of bad stuff happen. But the difference is they didn't get out of it. They didn't move beyond it. They let every dark moment pile up and consume their consciousness. Because listen, if we all look back in time, if we all look back over the course of our lives, we're all going to find things that we really, really love about our youth, about our childhood, about our, adolescent years, about our early 20s. We're all going to find moments that have happened in our past that are phenomenal, that you love, that you're like, man, I wish I could go back and see that again. I wish I could go back and relive that moment again. But then we also have moments that were like, that was such a rough time. It was so hard to get through that. And it was I was in such a bad place at that time. We all can look back at moments and say what was good, what was bad. The difference is if you want to enjoy your life, if you want to enjoy every moment that you can, you have to, if you're going to think about the past, you got to think about the good things about your past, not focused on what parts were bad. I don't know, I wish I could just I wish I could just force people to get it, to get that part of it, because it's easy. It's easy to go the hate route. It's easy to look at somebody's Facebook or Instagram post and be like, oh, fuck you, or you're a piece of shit, or, or like, that's bullshit, or something. It's like, it's easy to like go to somebody's post and just want to criticize them or hate on them or think the worst, especially if the person you already don't like them anyway. It's easy to find reasons to be angry. It's like this. It's like many people will be able to relate with this. I just thought of this. Do you have a friend an ex-friend maybe? Maybe it's a person that you used to hang out with all the time, a good friend of yours, somebody that you really care about, or that you did care about. You were always with them, and then you had some kind of a falling out, and now every time you see them post a new picture or have a new update or something, you just have this feeling in yourself that you're just like, oh boy, I don't want to see that. I don't care. Like there's times where if that person is your best friend, if it's your girl, your boy, if it's somebody that you really, really care about, then when they're doing things or when they're posting things, you're eager to agree with them. You're eager to support them. You're eager to back them up. But as soon as you all of a sudden go through a rough patch where you're all of a sudden not that close, it's easy to see everything that they post and look at it and be like, oh, fuck off. Oh, eat dick. I've seen people do it. I've watched, like, I'm sure it happens to me all the time. Like, I'm sure people that I'm friends with or maybe used to be friends with, I'm sure if we hit a rough patch and I post something, I'm sure they're thinking to themselves, oh, nobody gives a shit or who cares or blah, blah, blah. And we do this because it's showing something about you. It's showing your mood, and it's showing the consumption of what you're going through. If you were friends with somebody and you had their back and you supported everything that they did, and now all of a sudden you're going through a rough patch, or you don't like them anymore, or you're just straight up not friends anymore, and then they post something and you don't like it, it's not because the content is necessarily different or it's fake, or that it's something new to you or something. It's purely because of how you feel about that person. And if you have a negative memory about that person instead of a positive one, that negativity will consume your mind, and it will make you all of a sudden not like what they're doing, even if it's a positive thing. And vice versa. If you didn't like somebody before and you just were like, oh, they post all the stupidest shit, and then all of a sudden you're close with them and you're friends with them, you tolerate it a little more, don't you? Even if it's the same stupid shit. And it's purely because of the thoughts in your consciousness is like involved in either the positive outlook of them or the negative outlook of them. And if it's in the positive, you're very eager to support them. If it's in the negative, you're very eager to not support them. And my point about this is, this goes along with everything in your life. When you have negative feelings about something, you will quickly revert to the negative thoughts and feelings in the things you say, and it consumes you. And I just desperately want to get people to stop. Don't let this consume you. All right, if something's bad, let it be bad, but please get over it quickly. Move past it quickly. I hate saying get over it because it sounds like, non-sympathetic. I know that it takes time, but my point is, please do everything in your power to try to move forward in a positive direction, and think about the positive things. Think about all the bad things that have happened to you, and then think of all the positive lessons that came from it. It's very important to do this in your life, everywhere, with everything. But that's all I got, guys. I just really wanted to hit that nail this week. I wanted people to understand this. Maybe this episode didn't get you there, or like maybe you don't agree. Maybe you think that it's BS, or it's just happy thoughts and fairy tale shit. But I've just watched it play out in my own life. I've watched it play out in the lives of people I care about, and it's just never good to focus on negative and think about all your problems. Everybody's got problems, and not a lot of people have time for yours also. We all have shit going on. We all have things that we're dealing with. But just try to focus on the good and not the problems. Solve the problems, but don't dwell on the problems. But anyway, that's all I got, guys. I don't want to keep repeating myself. I love you guys, and I thank you so much for listening. I hope this was very helpful to somebody. I hope that this at least kind of steers you in the right direction of being like living a more happy, positive life that you just appreciate and that you love to be a part of. If you guys want to get a hold of me on the Anchor app, leave me a voice message. You can do that through there. And then if you get a hold of me on Instagram, it's Really Rich Podcast. If you want to get a hold of me on Twitter, it's Really Rich Adam. On Snapchat and YouTube, it's Really Rich. And then if you want to find me on LinkedIn, please do. It's Adam Rich, founder and host of Really Rich Podcast. And I gladly want to connect with every one of you and talk to you. So please, if you have any feedback, good or bad, I don't care. Just please send it. And I'd love to talk to you and get to know you. I love you guys, and I thank you so much for listening. Peace. I'm out of here.